Hey, I'm Eddie Wu and I'm here to answer your questions. Underscore Ronnie Green asks, what made you want to be a teacher? I had really great teachers myself, particularly when I was in high school, and I just fell in love with the idea not just of explaining and learning stuff all the time, which I enjoy, but also children come in at year 7, age 12, their school bag is bigger than they are. By the end of 6 years at school, they leave as people who are ready to vote, ready to drive, ready to contribute to society as responsible citizens. And that transformation, that is just a privilege to contribute to participate in. That's a gift. I've always loved it. I still do. Vlasiki asks, why am I going to be alone forever? Vlasiki, I sense some pain and frustration behind this question. I want to say, being that guy who when I was in year 12 could not get a girl to go to the formal with me, like I know what that feels like. I've inhabited that before. Don't give up hope is what I would suggest. I think probably you've just got to find the right person. So don't give up, be patient with yourself. C, Taylor's version, asks, have you always been good at teaching or articulating your thought process? Do you have any tips on how to get better? When I was at school, I never got great marks in exams. I'm a very slow writer, so in essays, my friends would literally write twice as much as I did, but I was still the person who my friends asked, like, what's this scene in Othello about? Because I'd be able to talk them through it in a way that they seemed to understand. And then they'd write an essay that got better marks than me. I'm not bitter at all, can you tell? I guess what I'm trying to say is that impulse to explain has always been a part of me, but definitely after studying at uni and then teaching for many years, I have definitely refined that craft and gotten so much better at it, and I still have so much to learn. Underscore PyChan underscore asks, what's your thoughts on AI and its impact on education? When the scientific calculator was first introduced to students, it just revolutionized the way that we taught and learned mathematics, because all of a sudden, it didn't matter if you knew what the answer to 357 times 821 was, because we can just get a machine to do that, and the machine will do it better than any human being ever will. And artificial intelligence is having that same impact on what we realize is important in teaching and learning everything, not just mathematics. It's certainly quite impressive to me that I can pose a question to ChatGPT and it'll give me an answer, but at least for now, if you ask it something mathematically, it will sometimes give you very confidently 4 different answers, and it's up to you to still be able to think critically and say, wait, hold on a second, which of these is really right? Are any of them right? I think that there are big changes to come. We're just at the beginning of this enormous wave. Shrish Rizzle asks, new teacher here, what's your top tip for grad teachers to avoid burnout? Number 1, you've already done the first step, which is to recognize this is a thing and you've got to watch out for it. I know early on, I just kind of used my bravado to get through and say, this will be fine. It will not be fine if you do not look after your own body, your relationships, your time with family. These are all essential, and you are no good to your students if you're exhausted and sick and you've lost your voice. So my top tip for this one is to say, be patient with yourself. Not every single lesson is going to be whiz bang and amazing. You're gonna do some which are gonna be not as good as you'd like. There's gonna be a time where you can develop better lessons, and that takes years of experience. Heather Alicia underscore asks, how do you inspire or engage students that do not have a passion for maths? This is most students, because by the time they get to high school, the vast majority of kids have had some negative experience with maths, even a traumatic experience with maths. And so that's just kind of situation normal, to be honest with you. There's such a diversity of students out there that part of what it is to grow as a teacher is to develop your repertoire and to have lots of things in the toolbox that I'll try one thing, and if that doesn't work, I've got plan B and plan C and plan D. They're all there ready to go. And that's a big difference between me now and me as an early career teacher who only just had one thought, and if it didn't work, it was just a train wreck. Know your students, understand them well. It's not just about the subject, the mathematics, the discipline. It's about saying, oh, okay, Sophie, you want to be a pastry chef. Let's talk about things that mean something to you, and let's connect mathematics into that. There's a whole lot of ratios and measurement and proportion in every single recipe that anyone is ever going to read. D Mills asks, what is the most rewarding thing about teaching? 100% what gets me up in the morning and sustains me on those long nights when I'm working hard at something is thinking about all the students whose lives I've made a difference in. People who are achieving things that are amazing, getting a job that they want, but even more seriously, people who are alive today, or who aren't incarcerated because I've been able to help them learn something. Like that's a gift and that's a privilege and it is so rewarding. Forrest asks, hey Eddie, do you think people who do not have a natural inclination towards STEM subjects have potential to do better in STEM subjects in undergrad? I have an autobiographical answer to this because I am a person who is not naturally inclined towards STEM subjects. I did English Extension 2, History Extension, Drama. That was the kid that I was in years 11 and 12. And in mathematics, my teacher would have called me a plodder. I just struggled along and I did my best, never got great marks, but I gave it a good shot. And I would say, for me at least, that's actually kind of been a huge asset as a teacher. Being able to empathize with people who do not understand and for whom these ideas are not obvious is actually a very valuable skill. Not to mention the fact that the ideas that I've brought from English to what I do as a teacher, like the ability to tell a great story, they're really useful in STEM and they're really underrated. Z_Eek Llewellyn asks, what's the difference between maths in a science degree and maths in an education degree? Well, the difference in the undergraduate mathematics is actually no difference at all. When I studied partial differential equations or cryptography, I was actually in the same lecture theater hearing exactly the same lecture as an education student with my science and my engineering colleagues. However, as a teacher, you then go and learn what we call curriculum. So this is not just, okay, I'm learning how to do the maths myself. This is about learning how to convey those mathematical ideas to other people. And that's actually a whole different skill. You might think you know how to differentiate a trigonometric equation, but do you know how to help someone else understand what's going on? That's another kettle of fish. So that's what we study in curriculum, and that's something specific to teachers. Thanks for your questions, everyone.